Hey, good morning, YouTube, and thanks for waking up with me. So I'm out today, by a bike path, walking along today. This is a path I typically ride when I'm in this part of the country. It's a nice long ride. Out here, it gets really private. The path starts out in town, but comes well out here into into a wetlands reserve that I think you can see here. I apologize for the light. It's a little later in the day than I normally shoot, but I want to get back on camera and speak to you a little bit. So, about social distancing and this whole back and forth we have nonstop in the media. I don't understand why we have to fight about it. I just don't. Why is it that it's an issue about protecting each other? You know, there seems to be a further divide between us as far as conservatives and liberals and Democrats or Republicans, and you've got to be one or the other, or you're either with us or against us. And I just don't understand that mentality. I can't agree with that premise. I'm a citizen of the United States, and to me that makes me an American, and I'm that before I'm anything else. And this back and forth should be irrelevant. Quite frankly, it shouldn't be the issue, especially right now when we have health concerns going on at the level we do right now with COVID-19 going on, and everybody's struggling to understand what's the facts and what's right, what's wrong. And we get caught up in listening to our politicians. I think too many of us forget that it's an election year, and I don't know if you can believe most politicians on a good day, let alone on an election year. I just don't think that's where you want to go for your facts. And speaking of facts, I hear this constant debate about the radical left-wing media and how it's distorted all the news, and there's definitely some extremities as far as the way it's being disclosed compared to some of the conservative outlets. That's for sure. It's I don't understand why we have to fight about it, and I don't understand why there has to be two sets of facts for the same thing. There's a lot of things I don't understand. I don't understand why I still can't go back to work the way I want to, and I can't go back to my way of living the way I want to, and I can't feel that my fellow citizens in this country have even their own best interests at heart, let alone anything, even the least bit of concern for mine. This debate about wearing masks. Why are we debating wearing masks? Supposedly, the science proves that, yes, you may still get COVID, but you are 5 times more likely to get it if you don't wear a mask and if you don't socially distance. Why is that so hard? Why is that so difficult? In the early days, it was hard to get a mask. So that made sense, that you'd want to push back because I can't get a mask. I complained about it myself, that I couldn't get proper masks for my employees, and we couldn't go back to work and protect them in such a way. And I couldn't in good conscience take them out and force them to work side by side, knowing that they all go back home to separate households, to separate lifestyles, to different intermingles of interaction with people, and their social norms and all that sort of things. And the exposure just didn't make sense to me. Unfortunately, through a combination of unemployment that I've been paying for these guys for quite some time, and the stimulus package definitely helped a lot. And my guys are okay for the most part, and they're hoping to come back to work. And the good news for me is that they're healthy enough to be able to do that sometime soon. But each of them have had COVID-related incidents near them, either a family member or a close friend of the family or a member of their church that they normally would have spent time with had church still been in service, people that they would have been exposed to. Now, the science says that more than likely, every one of us is going to get it at some point. Every one of us. And also, the science indicates that only about 1% of us will die from COVID. And really from COVID. I know there's a whole debate out there about what's really a COVID death. You know, if you have a car accident and die in the car accident, but you test positive for COVID, then they're counting it as a COVID-related death. Okay, well, you know, for one, maybe because you were ill, you weren't as alert as you should have been. And you didn't respond properly, you know, behind the wheel like you needed to, or something like that. And maybe not, you know. I'm not here to argue with you about this. I'm here to make you think about it. But if my chances are 5 times better that I'm not going to get it right now, when the hospitals are so busy, when we're still learning about it, when we're still trying to figure out how to treat it, when we're still, you know, looking for a vaccine, and you know, and the vaccine, quite frankly, I'm one of those people that's on board with, I don't trust it. I don't trust it. Why is it takes up to, you know, 30, 40 years to get a vaccine, and now we're going to have one in, you know, 10 months? I don't trust it. You know, it means one of two things. It either means that the FDA has been screwing with our lives for decades in preventing treatments that were valid and real, or they're screwing with our lives right now by willing to shove something through because for political expediency during an election year, it looks good for everyone. It won't look good if it backfires. And it won't look good if it causes other side effects, like so many medications that are prescribed to us these days. Now, I think it's going to be more than that. And there's going to be a certain level of attrition of people dying. I'm not looking forward to that. I'm also pretty determined to not be one of them. And I'm hoping, if you're watching this video, if you're still with me, 7 minutes and 30 seconds in, that you'll consider also what it would take for you to improve your odds. What are you doing to improve your health? Are you watching what you eat? And I don't mean, you know, you're out buying these quote-unquote healthy snacks and all those sorts of things. Read the label. Read the label and look at all the chemicals that are in there, all the additives that are in there, all the fructose that's in there, all the preservatives that they put into even just the most basic things. And by the way, I'm guilty. I'm really guilty. I have a lifetime full of really bad food and bad choices. I've spent decades drinking huge quantities of Coca-Cola pretty much my whole life, my whole adult life at least. And countless other things, fast food and all these other things to keep up with the schedules that I put myself into and living and stuff like that. So I'm not preaching from a higher position. I'm struggling for the same thing. But I can tell you what I am doing. I'm reading the labels. I'm trying to eat real food, not packaged food. I'm trying to eat a lot less sugar and a lot less gluten. Because the food today, the gluten that we raise, the products we have in our breads today have twice as much gluten as they did when I was a kid. And it's not the same thing as it was when we were young. Or when I was young. Maybe some of you still are. But it's got to be different. This bike path that I'm on here, I ride this thing at least once a week. It's 32 miles round trip for where I go to. And I think I'm about to extend that out because there's another direction I could go from where I typically park. And that'll bring it up to 50 miles. And, you know, if you're not in the same physical shape that I am, that you can do that, well, there's a couple things. Why not? You know, there's trouble on the horizon, and I'm worried for all of us. We need to get through this health situation. We need to get through all these protests. We need to get through all this government unrest. We need to get past this possibility that I'm hearing about, that there may be a bunch of voter fraud and a bunch of other things, and there may be a contestation of the outcome of the election results and in doubt. And we have police and federal agents out in our streets fighting against protesters. Some are violent. Some have been proven to be instigators. And it's possible that all the violence are strictly instigators, and they're detractors from the actual real mission. Maybe even pretending to be on the side that they're on, but on the opposite side. Or it's just people who just like chaos and just like to raise hell. There's a lot of options out there. There's a lot of bad news out there. There's no shortage of it. And the bottom line is, God forbid, but if we get into a complete civil unrest where this system breaks down and we break it to build it all over again, like I hear from so many people, including my own family. Think about what life is going to be here if we break this system. If we break our government, we break down what's going on here, it's going to be utter chaos. It's going to be complete and utter chaos in ways that you haven't even thought about. You think you can fight back. You think maybe you've got guns in your cabinet. So do I. But if my money is gone because the bank system doesn't work anymore because it's federally protected, and if the federal government goes bankrupt, then what? Or if the management goes under and the banks are allowed to do anything they want with my money, then what? Do I not have any money? Do I not have any resources? And by the way, if I don't have any, that means everyone else in town, in the state, the county, the country, they don't really have it either. And that doesn't mean that I'm going to tell you to go out and buy gold, because that's not the answer. Because not enough people are going to buy gold. You can have the gold if you want, but you can't eat gold. Do you know how to raise your own food? Do you know how to walk 5 or 10 or 15 miles if you have to? If you have to? Because if our system breaks down, life would be completely different. There won't be food on the shelf anymore. Trucking regulations and all that'll go out the window. And if the monetary system goes out the window, well, then everything turns into a third world country with millions of dollars of assets laying around. So the first thing it's going to do is there'll be desperate people out there breaking in and stealing and taking whatever they want, including from your own house. It's not an option. I'm going to post a few more videos after this one because I kind of feel like this one covers 3 or 4 subjects. And I hope you'll tune in. If you're interested at all in what I'm saying, please hit that subscribe button and click that bell so you hear from me again. I'm going to try and be a little more consistent about it. I've been doing a lot of homework, I've been doing a lot of thinking, I've been doing a lot of contemplating. I don't want to make this channel about politics. And every time I pick up the camera, it's hard for me to not do that. And in the next video, I'll explain why. And I hope you understand. I hope you're engaged in the conversation. And I hope you'll take a good look at your own life and think about where you're at. And how would you protect the loved ones around you? How would you take care of each other? How will you eat? How will you know someone isn't going to come up behind you and steal whatever you have because they feel like they need it more than you do, or they don't care if you need it, they're just going to take it. Let's talk. I'll see you soon.